We are live. This is Four Bad Boy Podcast. I'm Fabian Bix, the host, moderator. My guys will be on with me in just a minute. We're gonna couple topics tonight. We're gonna talk about NBA, Chris Mortensen, some other stuff. It's our Sunday podcast, so we might in Club Shay. We're gonna talk about his impact this year on athletes and their own medium, or former athletes and their own medium right now. How's that working as far as they're taking over their narrative, their voice, their truth, or whatnot, and how has Club Station impacted 2024 so far, as far as interviews and people's truths he's been allowing other people to talk about. Then want to touch on Chris Mortensen, passed away earlier today. We're going to talk about that in this part of the show. So let's go. This is the Four Battle Boy Podcast. Of course, we have a number of sponsors that we are not being paid by. So we're going to talk about those sponsors in just a minute. And who we got? Crazy Straws, Brian. He's our one of our Sunday analysts. He has a company called Crazy Straws. Be crazy and you got your straws, get your Crazy Straw. Just for men. Got some green your beard right here. You want to get rid of it. Don't want your greater show. I don't care. I'm getting old anyway. Just get you that CB4 off aisle 17 in Walmart in the back by the pharmacy, right there next to it, so you can't steal it. That's why they put it by the pharmacy, because somebody's right there. Just for men. Dax Wave and Groom. You still trying to get waves in your head? Michael Atwater has had waves since 1994. He used Dax Wave and Groom. He is bald headed now, and he still have waves. So Dax Wave and Groom, it works even if you bald. Damon sponsor Arizona Tea, 89 cents in Florida, 99 cents in Georgia. Drink the whole can. You can have diabetes. You'll be on Zip It. Facebook and YouTube, that's our pages. Follow us on those pages. Tell your friends about it. We're trying to get monetized. We're trying to make a side hustle real, y'all. BuyANiceShirt.com. BuyANiceShirt.com. Bernard Ingram, HBCU items and panhandling at 9. If you're part of any of those organizations or both, he got some gear for you. New Year's about to pop up. Gonna have some fresh merch. Check him out. He is a Fort Valley on us and a member of Kappa Alpha Psi. Damon's podcast, Chopping It Up. Check him out. Great podcast. He also has a Patreon page if you want to donate to the page or show support, show some love. That's our guy, D. Randall. And of course, one of our special sponsors, Hennessy & Coke, Crown Royal XO, and Ginger Ale, the Dark Liquors. Dark Liquors. Light makes you fight, brown keeps you down. And of course, we'll be remiss. This first topic we want to touch on. Hopefully, Ryan, the guys will show up. Chris Mortensen passed away this morning. A stalwart of ESPN for over 30 years. Resident originally from Torrance, California. He served in the Army. Graduated from Torrance Community College. Worked at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Worked at the National. Frank DeFord hired him at the National. ESPN scooped him up in 1990. Has been there ever since. I know he's been battling throat cancer since 2016. He stepped away from his duties after the draft last year to concentrate on his health, his family, and his faith, which means he already knew that the time was coming, and I think it was at stage 4 on his cancer. A lot of well wishes came out for him today through social media, and it's a tough beat, especially for the ESPN family. Well, forget the ESPN family, his family. They knew it was coming, but it doesn't matter about other families and everything like that. That's just tough in knowing that somebody's gonna go, and you know it's coming. But even though it happens and you expect it and you're ready for it, it's a tough beat. It's a tough beat. Um, what I remember from seeing Mort every Sunday, Monday, every day, he is the epitome of a journalist, epitome of a Woj bomb. To me, he was the Woj bomb before the Woj bomb. And just not seeing him this past year on Sunday Countdown or at the Super Bowl or breaking any news is going to be a different. It hits different. Not him not being there. It's just like when Chris Berman became ESPN Emeritus. Not seeing him on Countdown every morning, every Sunday morning, it's different. Not seeing him at the draft is different. This year has been a transition, not seeing him, and that chapter officially is closed for him today, and it's a tough beat, especially on the weekend of the combine. I want to say fitting, but apropos that he passed on the weekend of the NFL combine. It's gonna be greatly missed, and it's gonna suck. It's gonna suck without ESPN. You got a lot of great reporters. You got Adam Schefter, and you have Phil Yates, just from the ESPN side of the family. If you look at Jay Glazer, Jason LaCanfora, those guys have taken pages out of his book of knowledge as far as reporting, dignity, respect, honor, professionalism was at the highest with Chris Mortensen, and he's going to be greatly missed at the network. Guys' thoughts in a few moments when they hop on, and I don't have a single memory, but one memory I could just jog off the top of my head. His son was drafted by Tennessee, and that's one of his proudest moments. His son being drafted in the NFL. He wasn't going to really play. He was drafted late round, like 6th, 7th round. He's probably going to go into coaching as far as that, for what he talked about. Just had one son, his wife, Mickey. I believe his wife's name was Mickey, if I remember correctly. That might be mixed up with Coach K's wife. I'm not sure. But you better believe tonight on ESPN they're going to do a tribute for him. And they're going to come probably. A lot of folks going to be in Atlanta for the funeral because he has a home in Atlanta. So just hate to start the show off like that, but we have to, because that's a stalwart of NFL reporting. A lot of great, like Peter King is retiring, and he said when he gets to the point of where he doesn't want to do the grind of mini camps and training camps or writing articles, he knew it was time to go. And he retired last Monday. He turned in his last article for his employer, and he's retired now. Congratulations for him retiring. And if you think about reporters for NFL, Peter King, when I was a little kid, my parents bought me sports books and every season previews, and the season preview was Peter King. That's the way they would get me to read. And for those parents out there that can't get the kids to read, find books that are interesting. Comics and sports for me, and that's just something that I gravitated to, reading about sports, reading about comics, different type of stuff. Now I'm older, different stuff. But our well wishes go to the ESPN family, go to Chris Mortensen's family, all his fans, and other reporters that have learned and worked with Chris Mortensen. Died at 72 years old, I believe, today. 72 years old. It's just a tough break. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to Chris Mortensen in a moment, but I want to touch on LeBron last night. Became the first NBA player to go past 40,000 points. And anybody that's watching tonight, put in the chat and give us your thoughts on would this record be broken? Or if you think so, what's the one record that you think that will not be, that is unbreakable? That might be a topic we might broach on later on this week, on Wednesday, Thursday. We'll see. Might have to bring that back up in a week or whatnot. But I just want to know, for those that are watching, what's the most unbreakable record in sports? There's probably a couple of them I can think of right now. If you think about Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky has more. I don't have the stats. I'm gonna pull them up now. Wayne Gretzky is the all-time leader in goals and assists and total points. Pull up his stats right now. He has 894 goals, 1,963 points. No, 1,963 assists, 2,857 points. If you just take off the goals and just look at the assists, I believe he has 500 more assists than the closest person behind him. He also has the most career hat tricks at 50. The way hockey is going now with some of the rule changes over the last couple of years, scoring has actually gone up in hockey. So getting a hat trick is pretty hard for those that don't know. Just scoring a goal in hockey is already hard as it is. But this man had 50 hat tricks. For those that don't know what a hat trick is, that's 50. That's 3 goals in one game. 3 goals in one game. That's the record. To me, those are gonna be the hardest goals. Hard to go get. Corey Green said Wilt Chamberlain's 100 points. I don't know, Corey. Kobe came real close, and the thing about his 81 points, his team was down by I think 20 in the second quarter, and they needed all 81 of those points. I could see 100 points being scored in one game. I think a couple guys, if the way they not playing defense right now in the NBA, I can see it possibly getting closer in the next couple of years. Think about it. Luka had 70 this year. Luka had 73. Joel Embiid had 70. A couple guys had 60. Oh, that's a good one, Corey. That's a good one. 111 straight wins. If South Carolina, I'm going like this, South Carolina would have lost to Iowa last year in the national semifinal, I think they could break that record in a year and a half, because I think they should be winning all. I think they have more shooting this year. South Carolina. We don't talk a lot about women's college basketball to tournament, but I think South Carolina could have broke that record. They'd have won national championship last year. They just didn't have enough shooting. They could not stop Caitlin Clark. And it's not even about Caitlin Clark. If you could let one person score 50, but if you contain the rest of the team to 20 and you just hold on, you have a chance. But you don't want to do that either, though. It looks like the Curry Flurry or Klay Thompson when he gets red hot. That's going to be, I don't know, but you brought us some good records. UConn's won 111 straight wins. I don't think it's going to get broken. I don't think so, especially with women's college basketball. Those teams stay longer, especially with NIL, because when you go to the league, women's league is not as the pay is trash. Let's just call it what it is. WNBA has been open in existence for 22 years, and there's still pay disparages, pay discrepancies. Excuse me. That's probably why a lot of kids are staying in college now. Kayla Clark wants to go to the league because she always wanted to be a pro. For me, I would have stayed in one more year to make NIL money and endorsements and sponsorships and whatnot, and then went to leave. But she wants to. I mean, she's gonna follow the dream. I can't knock that. Today she broke Pete Maravich's scoring record. A lot of controversy behind that. They said Pete Maravich did it in 3 years. She did it in 4. That's a fair timeline. Bottom line is she broke the record. That's just, I mean, she broke the record. It is what it is. Now, for her to be considered one of the great players in college basketball, she has to win a national championship. To me, for those that's watching, let me know if I'm crazy or not. I mean, Breanna Stewart, Sue Bird, Maya Moore, Diana Taurasi, Shamika Holtzclaw, Candace Parker, Cheryl Swoops, Cheryl Miller. She's not breaking that top 5. She's not breaking the top 5. Nancy Lieberman, Rebecca Lobo, Lisa Leslie. But for her to be considered, I don't think she's going to be considered the greatest women's college player. No. She'll probably be the greatest scorer, probably the greatest career. If she wins the title, she might be on track for the greatest career, but you can't overlook Breanna Stewart winning 4 titles in 4 years. Went on undefeated all 4 years, if I remember correctly. That's just me. Jerry Rice most receiving yards. The way the league is going, Corey bringing the heat. I need to put you on the show. But the way the league is gearing towards more offensive league. Oh, we can't. Right. I'm saying I'm not hating on Caitlin Clark. I just don't think she's the greatest women's college player. Even if she wins the title, she won't be the greatest college player. She's gonna be probably the greatest career, but she won't be the greatest college player. That's the difference. Just like LeBron and Jordan. I like LeBron, but Jordan is possibly the greatest player. That's a non-center. Let me rephrase it. The greatest non-center in NBA history. Greatest non-center. You've got to take the centers out. Then you have a whole debate for his greatest centers, which would be interesting to have. Jordan, greatest player. LeBron, greatest career. Just I'm trying to find ways to try to make the math with Magic Johnson is the greatest point guard ever. He is the greatest leader. He saved basketball. Him and Larry Bird saved basketball in the 80s. Finals were on tape delay back in the 80s, if you remember, for those that didn't know that. He's the greatest point guard ever. Greatest point guard ever. Hands down. I don't care what Steph does. Doesn't matter. Magic came in winning. So if Steph think he's the greatest point guard, okay, really you're a shooting guard. Draymond's your point guard. If you really want to have that debate, you don't really run the offense. Draymond does. Draymond runs the offense. Really. So we're just gonna do that, but LeBron has the greatest career. Jordan's probably the greatest non-center. Uh, if you have to do your Mount Rushmore is not enough. If you had to go position by position, my top five center would be Kareem, Duncan, LeBron, Magic, Jordan. Then if you come off the bench, I'll have Wilt, Bill, Durant, Kobe, and backup point guard. You probably put maybe John Stockton, Isaiah Thomas. I'll probably take Isaiah Thomas because he was electric too at Indiana. He was electric, greatest in their era. Now, when you look at Jordan, I mean, this is where you need to be on camera right now, Corey. You ain't doing nothing. Shaq probably like 5, Corey. You need to get on camera. I'm finna say you a link. I'm finna say you a link, dog. I'm finna say you a link. If you look at errors from 80, when Jordan entered the league in 1984 to 1990, Jordan couldn't sniff the finals. Got swept in the conference final, then lost in 7 to the Pistons back-to-back years, if I remember correctly. He couldn't beat the Pistons until 91. Never beat the Celtics. Jordan's been knocked out in the first round 4 times, I believe, in the 80s. Then, of course, lost the conference finals twice, knocked out the second round 1 time. If you're looking at different stuff, every time about LeBron lost the final 6 times, you know, been 10, only been eliminated out the first round once. That's because he had a bad ankle. He came back on too early, and 80 tore his groin in game 4 against the Suns in that first round. They had a 2-1 lead. They were going to beat the Suns that year. They were beating the Suns. But, of course, since you asked me about centers, well, Kareem, Russell, Wilt, Shaq, Moses. Those are my 5. But you can't forget about Hakeem Olajuwon. If you look at head-to-head, Olajuwon beat Shaq in the finals. Schooled him. So if I have to, Moses might have to slide down a little bit, but I have a 3-way tie for 5th. I was to say 3-way tie for 5th. Those are my 5 right there. Will be Kareem at 1, Bill at 2, Wilt at 3. 4 will be I put Hakeem at 4, Shaq at 5, and Moses at 6. Then you get into the like Patrick Ewings and David Robinson. So you get into that realm where it could be a little scary as far as preference or whatnot. And what you look for in a center, where you want your centers to be at right there. You look at what's on sale. Bill Walton. You getting that range right there as far as what you're looking for as far as your greatest setters. So those are my top centers. Might be doing the show solo dolo. Wait, you folks not going on. Because probably I'll circle back on some of these topics, but if not, we'll call it a day. Um, One I also want to touch on Shannon Sharp's podcast, Club Shay Shay. He has two podcasts, Nightcap and Club Shay Shay. Nightcap, of course, he does with Ocho and Gilbert Arenas. Nightcap is on usually be on Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Wednesday he opens up for basketball for Gilbert because Ocho is not very versed in basketball. He watches it some, but he mainly focuses on football because he has a gig with inside the NFL. So he got some consistent work with that during the NFL season. I think it's a good fit with him being on there. Yeah, the Lakers lost, course. Yeah, they did. They lost, and let's talk about it. We'll circle back to the Club Shay Shay in a second. Lakers up by 10 in the game last night. I watched the majority of that game last night before I turned on Aquaman. I was like, yeah, Lakers can lose the game because the way they were shooting it, the way Denver was shooting last night. Michael Porter Jr., 25 points, went 10 for 10, 5 for 5 from 3. Joker had a triple double with 35 points, and 80 only gave him 17. The only way, the two ways you have to beat Denver. You have to throw multiple bigs at him. He was killing Hachimura last night. He was cooking him like stir fry at a hibachi. Anything in the paint, they will get anything they want in the paint. They need more size. Just to me, they have size, but they not playing the size. They have Jackson Hayes and Christian Wood. I don't know what's going on with them not playing. But you have to throw multiple bigs at them because their front court, 6'10", 6'10", 7 foot. And all three of them can score. They get Joker get you 25, 10 and 10 easy anytime he want to. Michael Porter can erupt for 30, 35 anytime, and Aaron Gordon can drop an easy 18 and 10. And when you're newly re-signed Anthony Davis only gives you 17 and 11, and Joker's dropped 35 on you, barbecue chicken. They got what they deserved last night. Lakers got what they deserved last night, and they could beat anybody anytime except for the Nuggets, because if you go back to the bubble, folks on to discredit the bubble, but everybody had the same. We look at everybody had the same conditions in the bubble that in 2020. No travel, same goals, same everything. There was no hindrance as far as exhaustion or tiredness or anything wearing down on their bodies, whatnot. Only thing was you in the same place for however long you in the bubble. There for 90 days in the bubble. No, they're not afraid of them anymore, Corey. I'm gonna put your comment up so everybody can see it. Not afraid of Lakers or LeBron. Denver swept them last year. Denver is the team. Denver gets off to a slow start. Joker like he was getting his last night. And the thing about what they were doing was the Lakers were not guarding. I mean, you up by 10, but yet y'all still gave up like 53 points in the first half. Michael Porter really, to me, Joker gonna get here. Michael Porter carried that team last night. Michael Porter kept them in the game with timely shots. Then you had Jamal Murray starting to heat up in the second half. The late third quarter started heating up. To me, he didn't put away. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They was up and late in the fourth. They were up by 4 with 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter and lost by 10, dog. Lost by 10. That's just amazing to me. Like, I don't know. There's no excuse for not being for exhaustion. You're NBA players, so you're gonna get tired and all that stuff. But you guys are not playing defense at all. Not playing defense at all. So I ain't got no other words for that, but gonna have more size. Porter has been underrated for a while, so I agree. He let the world know he here. Yeah, he's to me that's one of those most electric players if he gets going. Clay, Steph, to me, Michael Porter because he's 6'10", athletic, strong, quick, great stroke as far as shooting. Awesome. So I think keeping that core together is going to be when KCP comes back. This definitely going to be a problem for the West. I don't see anybody. The only team I could possibly see beating Denver, believe it or not, is going to be Minnesota. I don't see the Clippers doing anything because they're the Clippers. Just don't see it. At this moment, I just don't see it. We can talk about NBA all night when we get to this Shannon Sharp. I don't see anybody being Denver right now. They're the champs. They're to beat a man, you gotta beat the man. Minnesota, maybe the Clippers. I don't see Oklahoma City. You gotta go through pain before you get to a championship, man. That team has not made the playoffs. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's only made the playoffs once since he's been in Oklahoma City, and they lost 7 games to Houston. Phoenix Suns got ran out by Denver last year, Corey. Denver really should have beat them a 5 last year. Monty Williams cost Phoenix that series last year to me. What's going to cost the Phoenix Suns is going to be Bradley Beal. Phoenix problem is Bradley Beal. You're top heavy. Your team is top heavy, and now Booker's out with an ankle injury. Last night against the Houston Rockets, Dylan Brooks was Dylan, and last night being him. But Phoenix's problem is they're top heavy and they don't have enough girth. They have some height, they don't have girth. Yusuf Nurkic is not the answer at center, but he's serviceable. Bo, he needs a burn, but he's inconsistent. He was with Denver before last year. He got cut, went to G League. I think went to Orlando. Then he signed with Phoenix this year. But they're top heavy, and KD, he said he's not a leader. He's not like everybody else, and that's going to show. You have a championship coach and Frank Vogel, but you're top heavy. You need more, to me, size and true size, like 6'10", 6'11", not these small ball lineups that are doing the 6'8", 6'7". You got to have some size because Denver has size, Minnesota has size. The Clippers are deep, but they do have James Harden and Russell Westbrook on their roster, so that cancels out that depth. Sacramento, they had a great year last year, and they've been battling injuries all year. Player to watch out for that's going to be on the rise to me is going to be Keegan Murray. I think Keegan Murray hit 12 threes, 12 out of 13 on threes earlier this year. That's a team that needs some size, like a JaVale McGee, or they could have used Miles Turner. Miles Turner been a great fit. But Phoenix problem is they're top heavy, and to me, not enough depth off the bench as far as height and size. I mean, you could throw a lineup out there with KD, Bobo, Beal, Booker, maybe Grayson Allen, Eric Gordon, but you still need some size. Corey, you need to be on the show. You need to get this link. Do you think Durant would have stayed at Brooklyn or Golden State? I think him going to Brooklyn was a mistake. The Knicks would have been a better fit, but The way Thibodeau coaches coaches team, they're gonna run it to the ground. Why do you think now New York is struggling? Because they have a lot of injuries. Tibbs only knows how to coach one way, and that's coach hard, and been a problem, and that's gonna be a problem. But if you'd have stayed in Brooklyn, I think the issue with Kyrie, I think that turned him off some. But if you stayed in Brooklyn, if his big toe wasn't on that line in 2021, they would have won the title that year. They'll beat Phoenix. I don't care anybody said they'll beat Phoenix that year. Milwaukee lucked into I ain't gonna say lucked into a championship. They called a lucky break. And then Chris Paul did what Chris Paul does, gets hurt in the playoffs. Everybody's like, you be saying like, no, he has a track record of getting hurt, especially on his thumb and his wrist and his any type of hand injuries. He's good for one. He's just getting back from a wrist injury this year, so we'll see how that work out for him. But if he'd have stayed in Golden State, I think his time. I think knowing that he was not the man on that team in Golden State, you brought them to championships, but it wasn't your team. And I think he had friction. Yes, there's so much friction between him and Steve Kerr, and I think that and Draymond saw it. You know how Draymond is. He's gonna say what he's gonna say, and don't care what you feel about it. So they could have had a dynasty. It's hard to say because Clay would have been out if you still look on it. If you kept KD on that team, and Clay was out for 2 years because of his knee and tore his Achilles the next year, getting ready for the season. If you had Durant, I could see possibly, but you still needed the way that offense flows. You need another shooter, and that's a good one, Corey. I think that if they would have won in Brooklyn, I think all three of those guys would have stayed in Brooklyn. I think they would have stayed. I think they would have. I think they would have stayed. I think it would have been more of an easier path with Brooklyn as far as having a dynasty and then going to State. So I think that's where the issue was at. I just think that Golden State, you probably had a double gap year, 1920 year. You no Clay. If you keep everything in perspective as far as everything that happened in those years with those teams, as far as Steph being out for the rest of the pretty much the whole year in 1920, the only person who was there was Draymond, and I think they didn't have their draft pick in 20. Was it 20? I think no 20. Yeah, they didn't have their first round pick in 20, or did they? Yeah, because they drafted James Wiseman, which was one of the dumbest. You needed size, but that was a mistake drafting a player that only played 3 games in college. And now he's not getting any burn right now. I think he's in the G League for Detroit. But I think Brooklyn would have had a more viable chance for a dynasty versus Golden State. So we'll just have to go with that. I just think Brooklyn would have been more of a threat to be a dynasty right now. But I want to slide away from NBA and we talk some football with Chris Mortensen passing away. For those that are watching right now that haven't followed news today, Chris Mortensen passed away today at 72. It's a battle with throat cancer. It was at stage 4. That's why he stayed away from ESPN after the draft last year. Just a sad day in ESPN, sad day in NFL. NFL family. all accounts a great guy, great person to be around. For what they said, just sucks. I want to touch on somebody that's been blowing up the internet since his departure from Fox Sports One. Shannon Sharp, of course, I was saying earlier before we went back into the NBA. Club Shay / Nightcap. I watched some of the Nightcap. Some nights, I think it'll be on the night about 10:15. I'll probably catch some of that before I go to bed. Um, Shannon Sharp has had his Club Shay for 3 years. I seen some of the clips and stuff, watched a few things, but what really set it off for me this year, of course, everybody knows about the interview heard around the world with Cat Williams. I think he's at, I want to say 57 million views. I'm gonna pull this up. I only have one screen, so I'm trying to pull up Cat Williams. Cat Williams interview. Let me see how many just on the full episode, just the full episode of that interview had 61 million views. 61 million. We even got to I think the first 35 minutes of the interview got 8.2 million views. If you look at it, he's averaging about $5 to $8 million. Let's get 5 to 8 million views on the snips that Shannon's doing. His team is doing. What they do is a lot of folks do. They, of course, you have the whole show. You break down clips of the show. Because that interview was 2 hours and 46 minutes and 11 seconds, I believe. When that interview came out, I caught it late and I started watching it. It took me, I was on a Wednesday, we had to do the show, of course, but it took me around 10 to 11 hours to watch that interview because I had to break it down in 30-minute segments. That was too much to take in at one time. And he went, Cat Williams, he went in. A lot of folks complain about Shannon's interview style. Shannon is not a journalist. If you want heartbreaking news, like you said, you go to Lust of Hope, you go to 60 Minutes, you go to Sunday Morning. He's sitting to have a conversation and a drink, let them talk. He's not finna interrupt. Yeah, as far as what he does is folks touch into subjects that he's going to ask, then he falls back up with what he's going to ask. Who am I to critique how he interview? I have a minor in journalism, minor in mass communications, but I'm not going to tell somebody that's got a very successful show and making big time money off that show. How am I telling them what to do? And as far as this year, the guests he's had on there, he had Usher, he's had Chris Brown, he's right now Monique, Cat Williams, Johnny Manziel was last week if I remember correctly. This week he has Terry Crews on there. A lot of Terry Crews is a polarizing figure among the Black community as far as things he said and acted. He has a compelling story to tell as far as the things he's dealt with and been through, but at the same time, he has said some coonish things and has some, how can I say, bitch assedness to some things that he's done. So John Manziel said on Shay a week or two ago that he will not be back at the Heisman until Reggie Bush get his back, which will be my one last thing in just a minute. Monique, talk about her issues with Lee Daniels, Oprah, Tyler Perry, whoever else she had issue with. 2024 is the year of airing out your grievances. So just because Shay let folks come on there don't mean you need to do it on your job unless it's in a safe setting where you know you won't lose your job. Nothing wrong with saying how you feel, but sometimes you just gotta do it in a professional manner, just talk about how you feel. But But to me, what Shannon's done this year, I've watched his show more this year than when he's been on the first couple of years. I think he started his show during right around the pandemic. So of course, needs just trying to do something far as can't depend on networks like FS1. Was he was gonna get fired anyway, especially after the incident with DeMar Hamlin. He took a day off from the show, came back. Skip made some comments on Twitter. At first, when you read the tweets from Skip, they weren't all that harsh, but when you look at the response and his demeanor and his, how I want to phrase it, his stick to his guns, if you want to say that, will not budge off that. And Shannon was visibly upset, especially when you go a couple months later. That still was on his mind when he said your career wasn't worth squat, and Skip's gonna cape for Tom Brady, and Shannon Sharpe is a Hall of Famer who is considered one of the greatest tight ends ever to play in the game. Corey probably asked me who my greatest tight ends. There's so many of them. When you think about it, if I had to look at what their contribution to get, when I look at greatest of all time and Hall of Fame, can the story of football be told without you? That's how we need to look at Hall of Fame and greatest at a position or an era. Can your story not be told? Shannon Sharpe, 7th-round pick, Savannah State, worked his way off the practice squad. Mike Ditka, Rob Gronkowski, Tony Gonzalez. Antonio Gates should be in the Hall of Fame, but he's not. Travis Kelce, he's going to make the Hall of Fame. Some folks don't realize his name, Brett Jones from the 49ers. He had a great career, but his story can be told because when you think about 49ers, think about Joe Montana, Steve Young, Roger Craig, Ronnie Lott. Think about Jerry Rice, Bill Walsh, George Seifert. Corey, is Brett Jones in the Hall of Fame? I don't think he is. I'm trying to figure out if Brett Jones is in the Hall of Fame. There's so many great tight ends. I might have to look at some research and some data and just look at. Some might say Jay Novacek. He was a system tight end. Just like we look at wide receivers. You got Jerry, T.O., Moss, Fitzgerald, Marvin Harrison, playmaker, Lynn Swan, Lance Allworth, Kellen Winslow Sr. is tight end, one of the greatest tight ends. Also, Kellen Winslow. Don't forget about him. So many greats in the era. I mean, no Hall of Fame. Yeah, Brett Jones. Yeah. This is what we need to do: put together a Hall of Fame football team. As far as eras, if you look at 80s, 90s, the aughts, the teens, and 20s are still going right now. Put together all NFL team each decade and pick your all NFL coach, all NFL team coach, and coordinators. Billy White Shoe Johnson. Yeah, what kind of white shoes did dance? He did the Icky Shuffle, go to Icky Shuffle. But back to Shannon Sharpe Club Shay before we go. I think what Shannon is doing in this show is awesome. It's great. You're doing your own platform, another opening for people to tell their truths, and use the conversation, not a formal structure of a interview. It lasts however long it needs to last, which is cool. Um, and you see a lot of athletes doing it now, as far as Draymond Green, Michael Parsons. He might need to take a break from podcasting. Um, all the smoke. Stephen A. Smith. All these various athletes and journalists having their side platforms. Also, we cannot forget about probably one of the best bet on yourself podcasters who made it big and caught a lick, Pat McAfee. ESPN is looking at where linear television is going right now. When you think of linear across the board, like as far as Cox, for Spectrum, Xfinity, you can throw in there Sling TV, YouTube TV, so forth and so on, Southern Bell, whatever. Those networks or cable companies that, or streaming service that provide cable and basic channels, and Hulu, you threw Hulu in there as well. They're looking at this as, we need to capture this type of platform and profile, and they're seeing their numbers decline over the last 5 years as far as subscriptions, which is why you've seen a lot of these layoffs with on networks. Like a few years ago, Howard Schwab was laid off. Jay Crawford. Just this year, Keyshawn, Max, Steve Young, Susie Colbert, Bomani Jones. The list goes on and on. And this is why the NFL is dipping their toe into streaming, as far as only putting specific games on Peacock. Amazon TV. If you have a Prime account, you get Amazon TV for free. Amazon Prime for free. Prime TV for free. So it's a great thing to have. You get some great shows, get some free movies on there. Everything Everywhere Out at Once. That's a great movie. Saw that on Prime when it came out a couple years ago. Jack Reacher, good series, solid series. There's some movies on there that you can catch on there. So the NFL is trying to catch some of that streaming money from Amazon and Peacock. Like this year, one of the playoff games was streamed on Peacock. Would I have streamed Kansas City versus Miami? No. But that's part of the deal. I think it had 111 million views. So I can't be mad at it. Now the Amazon Prime game with Al Michaels and Kurt Herbstreit. I would have got some different announcers, but Al Michaels, he disdain for gambling, as far as being a prime source of everything we do, as far as MGM, DraftKings, all those platforms, not ESPN Bet, have their own site. I mean, $90 NFL is controlling a lot of things as far as network television, like NFL, like NFL on Fox, NFL on CBS, Sunday Night Football, ESPN Monday Night Football. And I like the fact that they're flexing Monday night games, which makes more sense because a lot of people are not watching some of those Monday night games that they had. And fish that flex to Baltimore and San Francisco, that was clutch. That was a great game. But NFL is looking at different monetary streams, looking at non-linear television as the thing of the future. Especially with the culture going, with the culture we're going now, as far as right now news. Some kids don't watch the news and might watch a 2-minute reel on CNN when they get to school in the morning. We're observing some classes. Attention span for kids are not as long as they used to be, so that's why you have TikTok, Snapchat, and Instagram to look at reels or stories, something real quick, something to the point. As far as that, so I can see why the NFL is starting to look at it. Look at the NBA and Major League Baseball. They're starting to have HBO Max stream games on their platforms. I wouldn't be surprised when the NBA redo their network contracts. ESPN, ABC, TNT, NBA TV is not going anywhere. Those major networks that usually stream NBA games is going to have a fight on their hands with HBO Max. NBA is looking at getting some of that money for non-linear television. That is going to be that's the new wave right now with non-linear television. So that's something we need to look out for. The clock is just not hitting 10 o'clock, which means I need to start ironing my clothes for work. But my one last thing of parting shot for this week. I stated earlier, Johnny Manziel said he's boycotting the Heisman until Reggie Bush gets his Heisman back. Which is a fair thing for him to say because he did some things while he was in college which should have had his Heisman stripped away from him. But I'm not turning it into a race thing, but we know Johnny Manziel is a Caucasian male. Reggie Bush is an African-American male who's one of the most electric college football players ever. If you look at probably one of the greatest to play, is he in top 5? Probably not. Maybe top 30 or 40. Easy. But for those that know the story, Reggie Bush's family will offer money for housing for him to come to the USC. Of course, the NCAA is full of caca when it comes to punishing people or handing down sanctions and whatnot, which is why Pete Carroll left when he did, because he didn't want to get caught up in that, just like Jim Harbaugh left Michigan. So that way he won't get caught in that. NFL's not going to suspend a coach coming to them for something that happened. I think Jim Trussell might have been suspended for that, but I mean, either way. The Heisman committee, Heisman company, or whatever you want to call it, is full of a bunch of hypocritical conservatives that do not budge for what they do. Johnny Manziel literally signed autographs for money the year after he won the Heisman. Somebody snitched on him. He got suspended for a half. But did not lose his Heisman, or his team did not have to forfeit wins or give up anything. Reggie Bush had to give back his Heisman for something that's legal now, for his NIL and sponsorships. It's the right thing to do, Heisman. It's the right thing to do. Let Reggie come to the Heisman house. Make some commercials with Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels. Give him the Heisman back. I think enough time has passed where he deserves to get his Heisman back. If we're going to be hypocritical, you need to go get Johnny Manziel, possibly Joe Burrows. As far as I know, why would he go to LSU? How do you get LSU from Ohio State? If you're also hypocritical, Jameis Winston shouldn't have his Heisman. There are a number of college football players that should probably have their Heisman taken away, but we have not done it. NIL sponsorship is not going anywhere. Of course, just shut down. NCAA doing investigations. So, giving the Heisman back is the right thing to do. It's time. It's been over time. Stop dragging your feet on investigations anyway. That's our show for today. We won't have a show on Wednesday unless something changes. We're going to see you next week. We'll holler.